Broads Media.
Joel. Thank you for this. This is amazing. Before we hop into it, if you're new to the channel, smash that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button as well. I greatly appreciate all of your support. You are the best. I love you so much. If you're looking to buy tickets to go to any NBA, NHL, NFL games, use promo code BROADS at SeatGeek's checkout page for $20 off. So you know those fees when it says, oh, tickets are only $50, somehow they're $70 after all the fees. Don't worry about it. It's eliminating those fees right from the jump. Do not even think twice about it. Promo code BROADS, SeatGeek's checkout page. Get yourself to a game today. And lastly, Broads Media, TikTok. Hit the follow button there. With that being said, enjoy the show. What is going on, everyone? Welcome on into Sports Talk with Broads. If you're not enjoying Joel Embiid right now, you're a joke. I know the college football national championship was on last night at the same time as the Sixers, but if you didn't do the double dip, if you don't have two TVs and you didn't go TV and iPhone or TV and iPad or TV and laptop, then you missed out because he was absurd once again. 7th straight win for the Sixers. 30-plus points again for the big man. 31 total. There was a spurt where he was on triple-double watch. The only thing stopping him from cashing out on that is the fact that he only logged 26 minutes of action. He had 17 points in the first quarter. He's clearly getting more comfortable with his teammates. And oh, by the way, there was no Seth Curry on top of no Tyrese Maxey. And every single game, it's a different lineup, a different person, a different teammate in the starting lineup. It's always a mess. Things are getting jumbled around. And yet, here's Joel Embiid grabbing offensive rebounds. 3 guys on him in the paint. He's holding the ball out with his right hand, finding someone to kick it to. There's Isaiah Joe wide open. Just the fact that he's able to just have that feel with all of these players, and sometimes they're random on given nights. It's just amazing. I love it. Joel Embiid has me glued to the television screen. Now, I'm going to backpack a little bit off of how I started last Sixers show, which is, look, there's 2 ways to analyze what they're doing against these opponents that they should absolutely wax, right? And if you're going to look at it with this mentality of who cares, they should beat these teams anyway, and then you're also going to be pissed off when they lose, then what are you watching them for? There's never any sort of entertainment or excitement value if that's where it is. I look at it when you look at the opposition, if you look at it with the other side of things, there's plenty of moments for whoops. There's plenty of moments for, that was one of those nights in October on a Tuesday that you fall because you're just not there. And after 6 straight wins, you're more susceptible of that one happening. The whoops game, the uh-oh game, the damn it game, the we let it slip game, or just sometimes in the NBA, and it probably is going to come at some point. I hope I don't jinx it. Not that I believe that me even mentioning this is going to be the reason why this comes about. It's just called being a human being, and it's bound to happen. But sometimes you have one of those nights, right? We put that in air quotes, one of those nights. The ball wouldn't fall, wide open looks, bricked a bunch of them. Instead of hitting nothing but net, you're hitting nothing but iron and backboard, and the team didn't have its rhythm. Well, sometimes that game even happens when you're playing a horrendous opponent and a team that won't even play John Wall because they're attempting to lose and they don't want to win. And yet, here they are for their 7th straight, and it hasn't happened yet. It's bound to. It will eventually. They're going to lose a basketball game. But the fact that they could put together 7 before it happens, even if it is a poor opponent, is something that I find value in. And you know what? We talk about Joel Embiid's growth on the floor. We talk about Joel Embiid and how he's adding to his game, it seems, by the game. You know what else has clearly taken big strides on top of the conditioning that I pointed out in a recent episode? His leadership. He is willing this team to play this hard. The fact that he's on the floor, balling the way that he is, taking over the games, showing his determination, his demeanor, his body language, everything about him touching the basketball in these 48 minutes is rubbing off on Matisse Thybulle in the third quarter. And we made joke and we made light of what he did with Tyrese Maxey a few weeks back, where Tyrese sucked and they're kind of having a brotherly moment at the press conference, and he said, dude, you suck. And Matisse Thybulle's laughing and he goes, I airballed shots, right? They're having this fun. And then Tyrese Maxey explodes and has a ridiculous performance, and Embiid mentions that's how you handle those words. That's how you handle the critics. That's how you handle the adversity. Well, just the other day, Joel Embiid is talking about Matisse Thybulle and how excellent of a player he is, but then make sure that he references the fact that he needs to take more threes. He needs to help us out in that area, because it's clear there's this dunker spot roll, there's the ability to cut, and that's definitely massive and will help out the offensive identity of what the 76ers are going to be, right? So third quarter comes around, and I didn't love the first half from Matisse offensively. Obviously, you don't produce much, and you look at the way the team defends him at times, and it makes me cringe, and it upsets me considering the fact that they don't have to do anything when he stands out by the perimeter and respect him whatsoever. Here comes that third quarter, though, and boom, he just has this outrageous type of effort, and he just kind of takes it for a whole nother level, there, and takes it for a ride. And I thought it was extremely impressive. Starts with Joel Embiid on one end with a block. Here comes full transition. Has a major slam. Thybulle was definitely a handprint on the outcome of this game in Houston. Definitely wasn't the fans. The fans were brutal. Nobody in there. Dead. But not that I'm anticipating it to be a rockin' arena, a sold-out crowd, when that's the garbage that you have to watch on the NBA floor. No, I wouldn't spend my hard-earned money. I wouldn't go see that Houston Rockets team play whatsoever. But I'll tell you what, from a viewer's experience, it definitely puts it down on the list when it's that brutal. But then you think of Joel Embiid, and then it shoots right back up at the top of the list, because this guy is outrageous. He's leading by example, and for all those years of people saying, this guy stinks, I don't want him, right? Well, he doesn't. My point is, I'm not trying to stress the laughing at the idiots who wanted him to be traded this year. I'm more going back 3, 4 years, 2, 3, 4 years. He's never conditioned. Now he is. He'll never be able to be someone who can shoot threes. He shoots threes too much when we were in the Brett Brown era. Not really the case anymore. He's just become an all-around better player, and it's because it takes time to grow and learn and adapt and be in this grown man's league. Look, it's different just hanging around the NBA and hanging around a grown man's league. And then you talk about being an NBA superstar that's in the MVP conversation, and then it changes completely. Oh, by the way, factor in when Embiid started playing the sport of basketball. People were demanding him at 21 to go bring this team a championship, 22, 23 to go win this team a title, and everyone blamed the head coach and blame this and blame that, when I'm telling you he's just not ready yet to actually bring it home. He's just not ready yet to be mentally prepared, physically prepared, and understand and experience enough to exactly know what it's like to win at this level. And then you lose to the Toronto Raptors. You have some Game 7 losses. You lose at home to the Atlanta Hawks in a couple ugly games last year in the postseason. That eats you alive. It burns inside. It fuels you. And then you nonstop work on your craft until you reach that level of intensity. And that sense of urgency kicks you in the ass when you're talking about in the summer, going to the Camden facility, putting in work nonstop. And then this is the product that you have after a huge sample size and a huge window, I should say, of 3-4 years of pain at 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Then you get to your 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. That's when you take over. That's when it really starts. That's when it gets pushed into the next gear. And you're seeing it all around. Because it's not just on floor. Now it's my teammates. Let's bring them up. Let's rise them up to the next level. And everyone is feeling the energy from 21, Joel Embiid. And he's taken over by storm. 30 again. 30 again. He's fallen back on a fadeaway jumper, hitting the ground. Nothing but net. Mid-range Jimmy. Back to the basket. That first quarter, my jaw was hitting the floor. What? 17? No, give him 19. Let's go 21. Unfortunately, he had to go to the bench. But, man, he was dynamic. He was showing his repertoire. He was getting to the charity stripe. He was mowing them down low, establishing himself down low, power dunking, which seems to be something added to his repertoire as of late, just taking it to the next level of it seems he's going to break the damn rim. You know how he mentioned in one of the pressers that he's been watching guard tape where he's dribbling the basketball more? And I know that might make some individuals cringe, but for me, I'd rather my best player have a skill set that has 15 tools in it instead of just one old man basketball. That's silly. That's dumb. So he's watching Michael Jordan. He's watching Kevin Durant. He's watching these ball handlers. I'd have to imagine he threw Shaq in there as well just to see the glass break and the backboard collapse and anything possible with a huge individual throwing all of his power down on a dunk, because as of late, it's been clearly the next type of step for Embiid there. I don't want to forget about the blocks, by the way. He did bring the intensity defensively as well. And you could see all sorts of possessions where 4 guys are wide open hanging around the perimeter. That's how much of a threat he is, just standing there, pretty much free throw line extended, right inside the paint area, and teammates are looking with their hands right at their chest, just waiting for the pass to happen. He's seeing double teams better. He's anticipating the double teams better. He's scoring over the double teams better, or someone standing there with a big smile on their face, ready to let it fly. Tobias Harris had a tough one. He shot 6 of 17, and it's just unfortunate because he hasn't been able to string together 3 consecutive efforts that could really give him some golf claps for, considering where the season began for him. He did handle everything professionally and did have a couple nice games in a row there. But against this squad, the Houston Rockets, you would imagine that this is one. If Furkan can take advantage of Houston, I would like to see someone like Tobias do the same thing. And I hope it didn't slip mentally like, oh, I'll be good. I don't have to. Because, after those comments were made, there was a different lock-in mode, right? You could tell that he was wired in a little bit differently, and he was making sure that he would have himself a good game. Did he just expect to because it's Houston? And there's no way in hell, with the way that he's playing this season, he has the ability to flip that on and off switch as quickly as he thinks. Just a tough one for him. I'm not going to freak out. I'll see him play against the Hornets on Wednesday and then the Celtics on Friday. Let's see how the week shapes up fully for Toby. I thought the last couple since that situation played out, if you will, has been okay, and I've been all right with it. This was a bit of a step backwards, and with Danny Green, just not giving you enough. Hate the face, too. Cannot stand looking at him. And it's hard to be on a Philadelphia team and me feel this way towards you. It shouldn't be. But it is, not because of anything with my deficiencies, not because of anything with my flaws, not because I'm a bad person or I'm an asshole. It's because of what he's done. He did this. He started this mess. He's always attacking people and putting the fans down and putting this city down. So, no. This isn't Broads being someone that isn't rational for this. It's everything that Danny Green has put on display as a terrible person towards this city. Drummond with the double-double. Brown had some hustle in there. He definitely caught my eye a couple times with some hustle plays. And if there's going to be a hustle play that's going to happen, I'm going to point it out because that's my bread and butter. I'm watching Furkan in the early stages get a steal and then take it to the rack. Come on. If you're getting pickpocketed by Furkan Korkmaz the way that you are, oh man, you're watching process 76ers type trash in reality. Christian Wood's nowhere close to where he once was. I'll say that. I guess that's the bad way to say it. That's almost looking at it negatively. He was once the worst thing I've ever seen, and then he's grown into a nice little how do you do, for what it's worth. For what it's worth. But that doesn't mean much at all, really. It doesn't mean much at all. So, yeah, that's kind of what happened yesterday. We do have some Anytime Hotline text messages I want to get to before we do. DeSimone Jewelers, they're a family-owned business located in Haddonfield, New Jersey, previously in Jewelers Row. Will, Lou, Nick, and Mike, they work with you to get the best design at the most reasonable price you will find in the entire market. I went to them for Kara's fiance. Nope, Kara is my fiance. I went to them for Kara's engagement ring. I went back for Christmas. I went back for her birthday. I went back for Valentine's Day. It's nonstop because when I go in there, I'm part of the DeSimone family. I feel connected with them, and not only them, with the piece that I'm buying. They educate you about the difference in the diamonds and the clarity, and they bring you outside. They give you these tools, and you get to see exactly the difference in what you're purchasing, and there's just this connection level on what you're buying, and then when you give it to your significant other, there's just this added value that I love so much. They provide custom jewelry design, jewelry repairs, appraisals, watch repairs, diamond setting, jewelry cleaning. For example, my fiance over the years, I've been with her for 10 years basically at this point, so I knew, she gave me those hints, she sent me those pictures, I save them in my camera roll of what style of ring she wanted, and with the halo and the oval. So you bring them these ideas and these concepts, bada bing, bada boom, they apply it, and before you know it, it's wow, incredible, and your significant other is blown away and giving you major kisses on the lips, maybe even slipping in a little bit of tongue. DeSimoneJewelers.com is their website. If you go in and tell them that Brode sent you, they will hook you up. So make sure you check out DeSimone Jewelers and you say, fellas, do you know Brodes? And they'll go, do I know Brodes? It's an unbelievable experience. DeSimone Jewelers, they're the best in the business. Okay, let's get some Anytime Hotline text messages in here. 856-442-9805 is the phone number. It's a voicemail box set up so you can call in with your reactions, which we like to take. I like to pull from the text messages as well. And if you do text, some texters do, some texters don't. Okay, for example, Mark says Mark from Philly. But then Kenny texted in, Connor texted in, they don't leave where they're from. Some people don't even leave their name, and then I go, anonymous texter. You can leave your name, where you're from, so I can give you a little shout out on where exactly you're at, or you can just leave a name. It doesn't really matter. This isn't that important, but just throwing it out there that can be done. So we'll start here with Kenny. Did you expect Embiid to be playing this well this season? What about after you saw his start without Ben Simmons and the COVID protocols slowed him down? It's a good question, Kenny. In terms of, did I expect Joel to play this well before we saw any sort of context, before we saw any sort of play? I always go by this, and maybe it's flawed, maybe it's not, but I find it hard when someone plays at an MVP level for a whole year to expect them to keep that up over a large window of time. There's a very few that can. There's a very limited amount of rare species out there. The LeBrons, the Michael Jordans, the Kevin Durants, the Steph Currys, right? I mean, there are some, don't get me wrong, but more times than not, if you have like a really great season, to keep those numbers up, it's so extreme. It's so hard. I use Bryce Harper as the example. Bryce Harper won back in the day. Then he gave himself like a 5-year stretch or so, 5-6-year stretch of good baseball, but it's hard to play MVP baseball every year. Basketball is a bit different, don't get me wrong, because the level of impact one gentleman has on the floor when there's 5 guys, you could take over to such a different level of extreme in the NBA, so it is different. I'm laying that out for you for context. So, no, I didn't expect him to follow up MVP with MVP. MVP. And I know he didn't technically win the hardware, but it was a coin flip last year, and he just unfortunately was on the other side of the coin. The side of Joel Embiid's face was laying on the ground, and that was not what we wanted to see, but reality of the situation. Right now, I mean, yeah, he's at MVP once again, so no, I expect him to play great, and I expect him to play unbelievable, but I don't know if I expect him to just follow up with 7 straight games of 30-plus points and willing his team to victory the way that he had. Now, obviously, that means once I saw him start the year and it was slow, and then he went on the COVID protocol list, and then he experienced the symptoms that he did, and he came back, and without Ben, Ben has been this team's primary point guard. That's like switching a quarterback in football when your floor general is just somebody new. It takes a whole bunch of games and a whole bunch of minutes logged in to get to a level of comfortability, and right now they're not even playing with a point guard. They don't even have a point guard. It's Furkan Korkmaz running it up. It's Joel Embiid playing point center. At times, it's Seth Curry when he's available, and he's your guy, and you play a bit of a two-man game, which I don't necessarily despise, but it's not something that I want to rely on forever. So, to answer your question, Kenny, which it is a very fair question, no, I didn't expect Embiid to be doing this. I expected him to be great. Let's not pretend like I'm thinking he stinks all of a sudden, and after an MVP campaign, that he's just no longer good, but it happens. It happens where it's hard to keep that consistency up, and that's another reason why we should be praising this damn man even more than we already are. You see guys like Julius Randle, and trust me, I'm not putting Embiid on the Julius Randle level by any means. Embiid is 9 billion times better than him, but it happens a lot where someone has this unreal season, and then it's hard to be that because it's not really who you are. Did I believe Embiid was at the MVP level? Yes, I did. But can I see him doing this for 4 or 5 years straight in a row? Before this year, I'd probably say no. Now that I've seen this, I can't question the man anymore because this is absurd. This makes my brain hurt watching how much he's getting better and better and better and better. It's hard for me to wrap my brain cells around it. Good question, Kenny. Thanks so much. Mark from Philly. Broads, love the channel. Thank you, Mark. Thank you so much. Should we be believing in this team and change our expectations even without Morey making a move? No, I don't want to get too fooled. I don't want to get too sucked in. I'm saying I don't want anyone out there to fall into that category after 7 straight wins like this. There's a complete difference in playoff basketball and what's happening right now. No, they're not good enough. Even with him playing this way, you need way more help. You need, first off, defensively at times, their perimeter defense is disgusting, and that's going to be problematic. If you don't trade Ben Simmons, and I'm not telling you the answer is to do it. Now you're hearing all these reports. This is what happens. You hear reports that, well, maybe Atlanta's interested, and John Collins is a name that you could look out for on top of Cam Reddish, and maybe they do elect to make that trade. But now you're hearing that he's not getting fined, and he's going through the right conversations with the Sixers right now to not get fined. On top of that, the Sixers want him back. You know, whenever you hear they want him back, that's Daryl Morey and Doc Rivers playing this role for some sort of leverage. On top of that, I think that there's a portion of them that actually do want him to be back as well. I do think that that's also in the mix. It's he said, she said. It's sort of like that. You're basically in court, one party saying one thing, the other party saying the other thing, and you're going to constantly get your back and forths on social media and a bunch of reports. Shams is linked to Clutch Sports, and other outlets are linked to Daryl Morey. It's going to be one big full cycle, especially as the trade deadline ramps up and things are going to get speculated. No. To get back to your question, no. I don't think we should be believing in this team with $30 million just chilling on the bench and think any more of this team. What I thought they would be prior to the season beginning was a 5th, 6th seed type of team. And I know we've done this a billion times. We've done this exercise, and we don't believe in NBA standings this early in the year. We're creeping on into the middle of January. Still not a time I like to look at the standings, but you look here, and they are 5th seed. They're behind the Bulls, Nets, Heat, Bucks, and then it's the 76ers. They're 23-16. They're 15-8 away from the Wells Fargo Center. They're 8-8 at home, which is just insanity compared to what we actually expect from this squad. They're on a 7-game win streak. Just amazing. But I always thought without Ben that they could be a team that wins about, amount of games that puts you in that 5th seed type of category. There still is enough firepower there, but in terms of expectations changing, no, it's right where I thought it would be when season tipped off in December. Connor says, what's up, bros? Hello, Connor. What stood out to me the most was how Joel Embiid rallied everyone, and everyone played harder. He even, look at this. Haha, you read my mind, Connor. He even called out Matisse in a presser. Yeah. I'm with you. There's something to be said about how he's holding players accountable. That was huge in the Brett Brown era. Well, no one's held accountable, and guys can do what they want, and this and that. Well, now, Embiid, after that experience and going through some of those moments and understanding that, well, maybe that wasn't the perfect way about things, but the players matter so much in this damn league, and the players have so much. They have their hands, the best in the league do. They have their fingerprints all over the culture and all over the demeanor of everybody, that Joel Embiid took it to the next level, and he felt, based off of how successful he's been and how much he's improved and how much he's taken strides in the locker room as the guy, that he can call out players. And you got to remember also, there's been this dialogue for years and years and years on who's the leader of this team. Is it Joel? Is it Ben? Is it Joel? Is it Ben? Well, I think that has clearly separated. Not that I think it's bad to have 2 guys. I mean, to have 2 guys is important. In this league, you need 3 guys. Now, there are times when you know who is the pure leader. LeBron and Kyrie and Kevin Love. LeBron was the guy, right? Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant. I don't know. I mean, I would say Steph Curry because he's the face of the franchise, but to act as if Kevin Durant's role in leadership was limited and had a cap, I don't think that that's necessarily fair. But in Brooklyn, I see him more as the guy than James Harden and obviously Kyrie Irving, who just wants to show up whenever the hell he can show up. So it's interesting for sure, but it seems that split and that tone, and he now looks at it, this is my city, this is my team, I'm doing it. Whether he thought that way with Ben Simmons or not, it has clearly blossomed into this whole new level that is a joy to watch for sure. And I'm enjoying this post-game presser stuff, and it's making me watch that even a little bit harder now with a different eye, because I'm watching Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid is what's hitting me home right now. And obviously it's all about the 76ers. I love the logo on the front, and that's what matters. But you talk about this season, COVID protocols, players not being available. This team has 3 guys. Some teams are playing with 1 guy. It's 5-on-1. It seems like there's just nobody available. You never know what team you're going to get, what brand you're going to get. And Joel Embiid is the difference in finding my entertainment value right now throughout this mess. So even the little things stick out to me and makes it that much more enjoyable. And I highlight it all. And Joel, thank you. Thank you for this, because this is awesome. I'm enjoying this journey like no other. With that said, we're going to shut things down here. I want to thank everybody so much for hanging out with me on this episode of Sports Talk with Broads, and I will see you next time.